are, guys, we're inside the cabin of the GT-R, and one of the first things you notice when setting off is just how easy the car is to drive. The steering wheel's not too heavy, you get a reasonable amount of steering lock, and when driving over speed bumps it absorbs them surprisingly well. If you look down here, you get a dual clutch auto transmission box, which makes for quick effortless gear changes. And for you heroes out there, you'd be happy to know it also comes with a manual mode. So if you look behind the steering wheel, you notice these long black flappy paddles which are attached to the steering column, not the wheel, and in my opinion it's perfect for fast driving. The GT-R is definitely on the big side of the scales, particularly the width, and you notice it when driving through small roads and tight gaps, especially width restrictors. The front slides through fine, but as the rear follows, it's as if the car widens at the rear, so you end up abandoning your mission and finding another way home. Don't happen all the time, but does happen on the odd occasion. Onto the interior, and you get these cool half leather and suede seats that wrap around you nice and tight. You get a reasonable amount of leg room to stretch your legs and get into a comfortable driving position. They also come heated and fully electric as standard. And after doing some long journeys, I've got to say they're some of the most comfortable seats I've sat in, which is a surprise knowing the very nature of the GT-R. You also get Bluetooth and a Bose sound system. You get air conditioning, cruise control, a nice armrest, and a decent sized boot that puts hatchbacks to shame, let alone supercars. So you're probably getting a good idea of why people use these as their daily drivers. You get the creature comforts of a normal family car, but with mind-blowing performance that can embarrass some higher end machinery, not saying no names. But one thing definitely worth noting is petrol, which isn't so comfortable on your wallet. And it's to be expected really, running two turbos on nearly 500 bhp. And to be honest, it's probably one of the last things on your mind when buying a car like this. If you do drive the GT-R on a daily basis, you definitely without fail become very good friends with the staff at all the petrol stations. Reason being, you'll be spending half your life in them. It's only £65 to £70 to fill up a full tank, and that's using the very best Shell Nitro fuel. But it's how frequent you're making these pit stops. Miles per gallon and fuel range, you might as well forget about it. Look at the fuel needle like work and back, go to the shop, pick up a couple of mates, quick blast down some B roads, then it's back to the petrol station, literally. So onto the computers, and over here is Nissan's multimedia system, which was actually designed by a well-known PlayStation game called Gran Turismo, which a lot of you gamers will be very familiar with. It shows all kinds of crazy options like steering, braking and accelerating G-force meters. It can show you steering angle, so it shows you the degree of angle your wheels are at. It can even show you precisely how much throttle you're using when on track. You get some handy ones also like engine, transmission and coolant temperatures, so you know when to give your car a break. You also get like lap timers, gear efficiency, boost pressure. Literally I could go on all day, there's so many options. And after that you can customise your own screen to your own specification. If you look down here, you'll notice 3 switches, which is the GT-R's main party tricks. If you select them, you can change the car's traction control, dampers and transmission settings. If you flip these 2 down, you'll notice they go green. The suspension is now in its most comfortable setting, which softens the springs just a little, nothing major. The transmission setting now says snow. The gear changes are slower and smoother, and the throttle becomes less sensitive, so it encourages you to drive a lot more sensible, which can be hard driving a car like this. But in general, it just allows you to kick back and just enjoy the drive a bit more. The power and sound of this thing is ridiculous. The car is actually nicknamed Godzilla, and for good reason. The car pops and bangs, screaming away, sounding like a full-on Formula 1 car. The speed of this thing is just savage. It should be illegal. The best example I can give when going through first, second and third gear is the same feeling you get when you're going on a fast accelerating roller coaster. Just how your stomach turns is exactly the same. As soon as you come off the throttle, you can feel the tension through your whole body. And to be honest, I don't ever remember a car making me feel like this. Trust me when I say it, guys, if you're a die-hard speed fanatic and can't find a cure for your speed bug, the GT-R is definitely the answer. It will humble any crazy speed you've got, and may have you even turned up to church on a Sunday with your grandparents. The worst thing is, most people think of the GT-R more as a drag race or even a straight line rocket, not knowing its key feature is the way it carves into a corner. When you start pushing the GT-R to its limits, you come to the reality that this car ain't on its limit, not even near. You notice the GT-R's got some real hidden depths that are going to require a lot more driver skill plus bravery to explore. Whereas most sports cars get to their limit and start having a meltdown, tyre screeching, back end swinging out, the GT-R on the other hand is so capable and adjustable on the limit. The computers all come together and literally do a magic show. I can't explain it, it just feels wrong. It's like, you know, when you play Need for Speed, how you know how unrealistic the car holds the road, say, compared to when you play Gran Turismo. No matter how fast you go, there's no tyre screech. Remember, this thing weighs 1800 kg, how is this even possible? Wherever you position the wheel, the car follows with pinpoint accuracy. Its agility is crazy. It can change direction like most lightweight sports cars, if not better. It's as if Nissan read the book backwards when creating this thing. On paper, it should have been a disaster. But you got to take your hats off to them. Nissan have made supercar performance accessible to the general public whose pockets ain't so deep, and that's an achievement that deserves to be acknowledged rather than slated. But how great this car is, it does come with its faults, and one really annoying one is its gearbox. It don't matter whether you buy a used or a new GT-R, expect to hear loads of rattles and clunks. One specific rattle is due to a faulty bell housing, which is actually a design fault from factory. So guys, don't panic if you hear your gearbox rattling away. It's unfortunately a symptom that 90% of GT-R owners have to live with, and thankfully it's an easy fix at one of your local GT-R specialists. Also, the gearbox solenoids need to be cleaned regularly to prevent gearbox synchros losing their teeth, and if not cleaned regularly can prompt transmission faults and sometimes put your car into limp mode, so you can't use first, third and fifth gears. And the last one being the door handles, which is a personal thing, but a lot of people seem to find them difficult to open. And in my opinion, I believe if you ain't got the basic hand-to-eye coordination to open a door handle, I don't even think you should be driving the Nissan GT-R. Anyway guys, let's wrap this up in short. To me, the Nissan GT-R is the Mike Tyson of the car world. Forget about its flamboyant looks and rattly gearbox, even its interior, because come on, it's no Rolls Royce inside, is it? If you do manage to put those things aside, you can see the GT-R for what it really is, which is a really handy tool with one mission in mind. And that mission is to knock 10 bells out of anything that dares to cross its path, using raw bullion tactics to force its opponent to submit and admit defeat. And it's exactly what the GT-R has been doing for the last 7 years, and will most likely carry on until its new life refresh, which unfortunately looks like it's going to be 2020. If you have seen any of my videos, you would have noticed I did a Nissan GT-R review, and also in my introduction video I featured the Nissan GT-R in there.